Hello everybody, in this video we are going to take a look at how to use Zoom for online video instruction. Let's get started. So to get started here, we have a blog post here from Zoom that describes their changes that they're making with school closings going on. And the main thing here is their free basic version of Zoom used to have a 40-minute limit. Now they're removing that 40-minute limit for schools if you complete a form and sign in with your school account. So here on this web page here, you can just kind of do a Google search. I'll also have the link for these pages in the description of the YouTube video as well. But if we scroll down a little bit and we find the request page under March 12th, you'll come up and you'll have this page here. It gives you the instructions for how to get Zoom set up for your school, and it essentially is all the same stuff as you get in the free version of Zoom, but it just removes the 40-minute limit. So under the under the plans and pricing section of Zoom's website, you'll see all of the stuff that you get in the free version. The only thing that changes is this part here. This 40-minute limit is gone when you sign up with a school account. There's that form you have to do, and once you get verified, that 40-minute limit will be gone. So once you have all that situated away, then when you come into zoom.us, it's not zoom.com, it's zoom.us, and we can just go ahead and sign in. Whichever form you use whichever method rather you use to sign in, you can go ahead and sign in. For me, I used my Google sign in. Most schools that use G Suite will probably just do their Google G Suite sign in. So to get started here, the main thing we need to learn how to do is learn how to schedule a meeting and how to host a meeting, and we'll also look at the different functions that we'll have when you are teaching a class in Zoom here. So when you first come into Zoom, when you first get signed in, notice here's my profile picture up here in the top right, so we know I'm signed in. The first thing you notice is there's a lot of stuff on the screen, right? For those of you who have used Google Meet before or some other video conference type apps out there, this one has a lot of stuff to it, and at first it can kind of seem a little intimidating because there's a lot of stuff in here. For our purposes today, we'll just kind of simplify everything down. So if we want to instantly start a meeting, we can come up here to the top right by our profile picture, and we can start a meeting by picking any one of these options under host a meeting. So if we want to host a meeting with our video on, meaning our webcam with video on or off, we can do that, or we can do screen share only. So if we want to just jump right into a meeting, we can click one of those. If we would like to schedule a meeting, we'll go up to the top middle and we'll say schedule a meeting. Then we'll go ahead and put in our topic here. So let's say I am using this for online instruction. And let's say I'm a U.S. history teacher. And so maybe I'll say U.S. history class. And then I'll put the date. Maybe I'll set the date for tomorrow. So 3/18. All right. And we can put in the description if we want. We'll put in our date here. We can click on the little calendar next to it to pick the date. And we'll pick our time. So maybe this will be a... let's make this nope, not 4 a.m. Let's make this a 9 a.m. class. And let's say it lasts for an hour. That sounds good. And we can choose our time zone. We can also choose if this is going to be a recurring meeting. So if we can click on that, and we can choose how often we want this to reoccur. So maybe I want this to go daily, weekly, monthly, etc. So let's just do this daily, maybe for 5 days, and we'll put the end date, and so we'll put it through until March 27th. Let's do that. And then so that's going to run for those days, or I can just kind of pick how often I want it to repeat, or I can pick the end date. However you want to run this, it depends on your school's plan for how often you're going to have online live sessions with your students. Below that, we have our registration. So you can require registration, meaning people will have to sign in to come into your session here. And once you click that, you'll have some choices. So attendees register once once and they can attend any of the occurrences. Attendees need to register for each occurrence to attend, or attendees register once and can choose one or more occurrences to attend. Of course, you can kind of choose which one kind of fits with your students best. Probably the easiest one is going to be that first one. Attendees register once and they can attend any of the occurrences, or you can turn it off for younger kids, or for if you're not worried about outside people coming in, you can just leave that off. Meeting password, this is where you can require a meeting password. Of course, keep it something that's easy to type in, but will keep your access safe. Then we can come in here and under the next section we pick our video. This is going to decide whether or not the webcams will be on or off for the host, meaning the teacher, or the participants, meaning the students. So we can maybe just turn on just the host, meaning the teacher. Maybe you can keep the students off. If you want to have them on, of course, you can do whichever one you like. Same thing for audio here. You can choose whether or not to allow telephone calls in, or computer calling only. At the end here, we're going to see a phone number that people can call in with to be a part of the meeting as well. It kind of helps with audio sometimes. Sometimes internet connections aren't quite fast enough or smooth enough to have the audio come in clearly, so sometimes a phone number is a little bit better to do. And then below that we have some more meeting options. So we can have the option to join in before the host. So if you want students to be kind of in the room before you even come in, you can do that. Muting participants upon entry. I generally kind of recommend that one because some kids are going to forget to turn off their mics and you'll have a lot of sounds going on. You can also enable a waiting room. Only authenticated users can join in, record the meeting automatically. That one's probably not a bad idea either. And if you are signed in with your account, you'll also have a little bit of storage. I'm not sure how much storage you get. I'll have to double check that. But you do get some cloud storage for the recorded sessions. It'll record the audio and the video for you. Or you can just choose to save it on your computer. All right, and then below that down here we have our alternate hosts. So these are your other teachers or co-teachers that you have. So you can put in the emails of those other teachers, and they can also host the session as well. So I'll go ahead and save that. So now here is this meeting. So here's my U.S. history class for 318. And then here's all our information here. So it has all these occurrences and everything. Here's the different ways that I can share it out. Here's the meeting ID number. Here's the meeting password. And here is the join URL. This is probably the most useful thing that you'll have. This is probably the thing you'll want to share with your students. And easiest thing to do is if we copy this invitation here, we can copy all of this or just the URL and the password probably, and we can copy this and we can go send it out to whatever platform we use to send information out to students. What I would recommend if you're a G Suite school is to use Google Classroom. Just kind of have students all kind of congregate to your Google Classroom. All right, and then down the rest of the page, this is just continuing on, confirming all the details that we looked at earlier. Okay, so now it's scheduled. This one's set for tomorrow, but I believe I can still start it here by going and clicking start. Now, the very first time that you launch Zoom, if you're on a Windows computer or a Mac, it's going to have you download Zoom for your computer. So Zoom is going to require a download. It'll download some software for you. If you're on a Mac or a PC, you don't have to download it if you are just a participant, but it's honestly kind of better. You have more features. It kind of works a little bit smoother if you just have the downloaded version. If you're on a Chromebook, you will have it'll take you over to the Chrome Web Store and you'll download the Zoom Chrome app. All right, and then so here we are. We're choosing one of our options for audio. I'll just use my computer audio, and I'll go ahead and connect all that. And here we are. So here is Zoom. This little window here is what Zoom is. At first, it's just this little skinny window. If I want to, I can make it full screen here, just like any other window. And so here we are in a live session. Of course, since I'm the only person in here, we're not going to have any other people in. When I go down to the bottom and click on Manage Participants, I'm the only one in here. But of course, if I had more students come in, we'll start seeing those names come up. Next to each name, we're going to see um, their status. So we'll see that it has a little recording icon, it has a little mute icon, it has a little webcam icon. All those things can be are going to just basically show what's happening. And you'll notice actually this just came up, this little pop-up just came up for us here saying, hey, you're muted. Of course, recording this video with another program, and it's saying, hey, in Zoom, you're not recording myself. And of course, that's just a nice little reminder. For yourself, it's always good to keep an eye in your bottom left corner down here, or up here looking for your own name to tell if you have your video or your audio on. As the teacher, of course, I'm going to want to unmute and talk as much as I want. Pretty much always keep that on. If I want to have my webcam on, just turn that on. Oh, I have a blocker over my webcam, forgot about that. Hey, there's me. And so we can have all this stuff configured whenever we want. And if we come down again at the bottom of the screen here, we'll see this invite page. And so even if you lost the join code originally, we can come down here and click on copy URL. It's copied on our clipboard. We can go share it out, and all that students have to do is click on that link and they'll come and join in. They just need to follow the prompts. Copying this invitation is going to copy that whole big long invitation that has all those details. All right. Then down here at the bottom, probably the most important thing, one of the most important things, is we have the share screen button. So we click on that and we can share any one of the windows that we have open. So probably the most useful thing is opening up, or sharing rather, sharing our browser that's open. So we can go ahead and click on one of the windows that we want to share with everybody and click on share. And now here's the little mini version of myself sitting down here. I'll kind of drag myself down towards the bottom. And from here, I can start teaching just like normal. So if I'm doing, maybe a slideshow, I'm in here doing my Google slideshow, just doing some regular old notes. I can pull up my slideshow just like normal, and I can come in through here and do my teaching. If I want to have like an article up here, if I want to have a video up here, I can do that. All right. Now, if you're going to do things that require like a lot of movement or a lot of audio. If you have a video that's on the longer side, more than a minute or two long, you may want to share it with your students outside somewhere else. You'll have a little bit of lag and stuff in Zoom, no matter what you do. So if you have a longer video, send it to them separately. You can kind of review some smaller parts of it, but if you try to show it in Zoom, it's probably going to be a little too laggy to comfortably show with everybody. Okay, if I'm stuck in here and I want to stop sharing, I come up to the top of the page up here. There's a bunch of stuff that'll pop up in here, but the main thing is we can come up to that stop share button up at the top, and that'll hide away the that share screen that I had before. If I want to bring it back, come back to share screen, pick whichever other one I want. So if I want to go back in there, I can jump right back in, and everything's goes back to where it was. Anything that comes up on my screen here will be shared with my students. All right, a couple other things we can do. When we are sharing our screen here, we still have that option to look at our participants. We basically just have that same toolbar, but now it's floating up here at the top. Speaking of the participants page, I might as well bring this up. When you have your participants, your students in here, you'll have an option of muting all or unmuting all. You'll also have some more options under here, so you can mute participants on entry. I recommend keeping that one on. Reason being, some kids will forget to turn off their microphone, and you'll hear other stuff that they have going on. It'll be very distracting. Allow participants to unmute themselves. That's a choice for you to make. So if you want to hear from students, you can have them unmute themselves, or you can turn that off, and so you can pick and choose. I want to hear from Timmy, and I can come in and unmute that kid individually. All right. We can also have a enter or exit chime, so I know when somebody's coming in or out. And we can also lock the meeting, meaning nobody else can come in. All right. All right, and then we'll come back up to the toolbar here. We can also pause the share as well, meaning the other whatever changes that I'm doing on the screen right now, like if I needed to go check my email, or if I needed to pull up something else, while this is recording for our students, while students are in the Zoom meeting with us here, they're only going to see this static page, even if I go to other pages and do other things. It's going to be frozen on that page wherever I left off. They're essentially just frozen on like a screenshot, basically. And then once you come back here and say resume sharing, then it'll catch up with everybody to whatever page that you're actually on now. All right, annotate. So it lets you do a bunch of drawing right on your screen. So this is especially nice for like a math or a science. So if I'm coming in here, I need to draw things, or if I'm just drawing some simple math or something like that. It's kind of hard to draw with a mouse, of course. But if you have like one of those pads that come with like a little pen that you can plug in with a USB to your computer that you can draw with, you can find those on like Amazon and stuff, pretty cheap. So that's a little easier way to draw on screen, of course. And other things that we can do in the annotation page, there's also the spotlight, which is very cool. So you can have a little spotlight, which just makes it easy to follow where your mouse is. So if you're kind of having students track where you're looking, this is a very nice thing to have. You can do the same with an arrow as well. And there's a ton more in here. You can choose all your different colors while you're drawing things, or you can clear things. You can change whether you're going to have a mouse or a select, so you can kind of select different items that you drew before, or different shapes that you drew before. There's also an eraser, so if I need to erase any of this stuff, it essentially works like an interactive whiteboard. It's kind of the same idea. If you have a bunch of stuff on your screen, you can also, let me actually draw some stuff again on here. I'll just kind of draw some shapes. And you can also come up here and choose save, and this is going to show a little saved screenshot for you. And it's going to save it. It's going to save it in its own little folder on your page. And there it is. So it essentially saves what you did as a screenshot. So that's kind of a handy little thing to have. All right. And let me come back up here. And under the More section, you can also see your chat. So this is your text typing chat for everybody. You have the choice of chatting with an individual person or a whole group. You'll click on this drop down. Of course, I'm the only person in this meeting for myself right now, but you'll have other individuals, of course, in your meetings. Other options in here. You also have the option to invite others. So if you come in here, that same button that we came up with before. So again, you can copy the URL or the invitation, or if you have your email set up on your computer, you can do that as well. You can also come in here and pause or stop the recording. You can disable the participants' annotations, meaning students would not be able to do all the drawing on the screen. You can show the names of the annotators. So if you're having students draw things on the screen, you can see who drew what. You can hide the video panel, so you can hide away myself there. We can come in here and hide the floating meeting controls. Notice it says press escape to show those again. So if those things are in the way, so if you have something on the top of your screen, that's how you get rid of it. And then if you want them to come back, you press escape on your keyboard. You can share your computer sound with everybody as well. So meaning if you have sound coming from your computer, like you're playing a video or a small clip on your computer, you can share that audio with everybody. And then of course we can come through here, and we can also come back into manage participants again. Now one of the nice things too is once you have some people in here, you'll be able to have the ability to put them into different rooms, kind of like separate breakout rooms. Since I don't have anybody in here, I can't really show it since it's just me. But what students will have is the ability to come in, and they'll be able to be put into separate rooms where they essentially work as like different groups. What students will also have is the ability to raise their hands. And now that actually kind of brings us to a good point here to show how students are going to get into Zoom here. So I have a student account set up here. So let me jump into my student account. All right, so now we're going to look at this from the student side. So students will take the link that you sent them. Remember, you can get to it from your Zoom dashboard on the website, or you can get to it from that copy invite button at the bottom of your screen when you're actually in the Zoom meeting. Either way, so here's the link that goes to this Zoom meeting, and here it is on I'm on a PC here, and these are the options that come up. If you're on a Mac, it's going to look pretty much the same. If you're on a Chromebook, it'll look pretty much the same too. The buttons will be a little bit different, but essentially it's going to run all the same way. Essentially, all the students have to do is follow the link that you give them. And then in this case, we'll go ahead and open up the Zoom meeting, and then they're in. All right. So back in the Zoom meeting here, we'll have another person in here. So here's this other student, Billy here. So now that I have another student here, there's a couple more things that we can do. So when we come in here and we go under the More section, when we're again, this is again from the teacher side here. We're back on the teacher side. We can hover over his name here. We go under the More section, and we can chat to him right away. I mean, this is privately; it's only going to Billy, not everybody else. Under that same More section, we can ask, "Hey, can you start your video?" On his screen, he'll get a prompt that says, "Hey, you've been asked to start your video," and if he selects allow on his screen here, it'll come up for us, and then here it is. So I have another computer set up for Billy over here, and then there he is, so he can have his screen as well. The teacher can also allow the student to share what's happening on their screen, and so here is Billy's view here. So Billy can come through and he can come in and look and share his screen with everybody else. It's the same buttons that the teachers have. Now, if I have, here I am, we're viewing Billy's screen. As the teacher here, if I want to stop showing Billy's screen here, I can come down here under More Options and say Stop Sharing His Screen. It comes back. So again, the teacher has total control over everything. We just need to make sure we know where to look. All right, a couple other things under the More section here. We can also make Billy, these other people, co-hosts or hosts. We can also rename them or remove them. So if they put in a name that's inappropriate, of course, we can rename them, or we can remove them if they're not participating, or if they're doing something inappropriate, we can kick them out. All right. So that pretty much will bring us through to the end of this video here. One thing to keep in mind is these Zoom meetings are really good for live classes. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff to look at in here, and it takes a little bit of practice and training to get used to. If you are needing to make a video just for your students, that's just pure direct instruction, doing something like a Screencastify might be a little bit easier, like pre-recording a video. This stuff here, this Zoom for online instruction, is really good for just that, online live instruction. If you need to make an instructional video, meaning students can go back and watch it whenever, you may want to use something like Screencastify. That'll be a little bit easier on you, the teacher, to use. Okay, all right, so that brings us down to the end of the video. In the description, if you're on the YouTube channel, in the description are some more links for how to get set up, and the details about what Zoom is doing with all the school closures happening. All right, so that brings us down to the end. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.